everyone, welcome back to my channel, and I need you to listen carefully, because if a woman is doing this one thing, it means you're not just on her mind. You're living there, rent-free, day and night, and most men completely miss it until it's too late. Before we go deeper, take a second, subscribe, like the video, and stay with me, because what you're about to hear might change the way you see every interaction you've ever had. Now, let me tell you something most people won't. A woman who is constantly thinking about you doesn't always chase you, doesn't always text you first, and definitely doesn't always make it obvious. In fact, the more she feels, the more controlled she may appear on the surface. That's the part that confuses men. You've been taught to look for loud signals, but her mind works in quiet patterns. The first sign is subtle, almost invisible if you're not paying attention. She finds small, almost unnecessary reasons to reconnect with you. Not big, dramatic gestures, not confessions, just little things. A random message about something that reminded her of you, a question she could have easily Googled, a delayed reply that suddenly turns into a deeper conversation. These are not accidents. These are psychological leaks. When a woman can't stop thinking about you, your presence starts blending into her everyday life. You become part of her internal dialogue. So when she reaches out over something minor, it's not about the topic, it's about maintaining a connection without exposing vulnerability. And here's where most men make a mistake. They either overreact, becoming too available, too eager, or they underreact, assuming she's just bored. Both destroy the tension. What you don't realize is that she's testing emotional safety while protecting her ego. She wants to know, if she opens the door slightly, will you rush in and overwhelm her? Or will you match her pace and understand the language she's speaking without words? Because attraction at this level is not about logic, it's about emotional presence. If she keeps finding excuses to reach out, even when there's no real reason, it's because her mind keeps circling back to you. And when someone's mind does that, it means something deeper has already started forming. But this is just the surface. Because what she does next reveals even more than what she says. Here's the truth most men will never understand. When a woman is thinking about you non-stop, her actions are not random. They are a reflection of a mental loop that only you exist in. She may seem distant at times, distracted or even aloof, but that's not disinterest. It's her subconscious running simulations of every possible interaction with you, what you'd say, how you'd react, even what she might say if she let her guard down. You see, a woman's mind is like a radar. She picks up emotional frequencies that men often overlook. A glance you gave a week ago, a joke you didn't think mattered, even a silence she interpreted as strength, all of it is stored. And when she thinks about you, she's replaying these moments again and again, testing her feelings, weighing desire against caution. This is why she may act busy or pull away for no apparent reason. It's not because you're not important, it's because she's trying to process the intensity of her emotions without losing control. Women are wired to protect themselves from heartbreak, and thinking about you constantly triggers vulnerability. That vulnerability scares her, even as it draws her closer. Notice the patterns. Does she tag you in things that only make sense to the two of you? Do you catch her subtle smiles when your name comes up in conversation? Does she somehow always know when something is happening in your life without you telling her directly? These are not coincidences. She is mentally invested. Her mind returns to you again and again because the connection she feels cannot be ignored. And here's the psychological secret. When a woman can't stop thinking about a man, she unconsciously imagines the future with him. Not always in clear terms, but in moments, scenarios, little what-ifs that creep into her daily life. She may fight the thought, rationalize it away, or even act indifferent, but inside, she's already mapping out possibilities. Most men mistake this for casual interest or friendliness. They don't realize that attraction is not always loud. Sometimes, it's a quiet storm. A presence in the mind, persistent and invasive, that can't be erased. If you recognize this in her behavior, you are holding something powerful. The question is, do you know how to respond without pushing her away, or worse, turning her thoughts elsewhere? Because how you handle this invisible pull will determine if she stays trapped in your orbit or slips away, leaving you wondering what happened. Now, let's go deeper, because this next layer separates men who are irresistible from those who are simply ignored. When a woman is thinking about you non-stop, she starts to mirror your energy without realizing it. She picks up on your moods, your subtle shifts in tone, your confidence, and she begins reflecting them in tiny ways. Maybe she laughs a certain way when you're joking. Maybe she pauses before speaking, waiting for your response. Maybe she unconsciously adopts your phrases, your rhythm, even your posture in conversation. This is not mimicry. It's a sign her mind and heart are syncing with yours. Here's what most men miss. She does this when she's emotionally safe enough to do so. If she didn't trust you on some level, her mind wouldn't linger in your orbit. She wouldn't be thinking about you in quiet moments or replaying your last encounter over and over. But she is. And that means she's vulnerable in ways she doesn't openly admit. Watch her reactions to absence. If you stop initiating contact, even for a short time, does she check in subtly? Maybe she likes your posts before you notice. Maybe she texts a friend to ask about you, or drops hints to gauge your attention. These are all signs that her mind is preoccupied, measuring how invested you are in her presence. The most critical part? She's not just thinking about you physically, she's imagining the emotional version of you, the man she wants to see when she's alone, the one who understands her without judgment, the one who challenges her in ways that feel electrifying. That version may not yet be reality, but in her mind, it exists constantly. And here's the kicker. The longer she thinks about you like this, the more power she's giving you. Not just in her attention, but in her emotions. Every fleeting thought, every subconscious scenario strengthens the bond, even before she admits it aloud. That's why men who respond predictably, clingily, or without awareness often ruin it. Because when her mind is obsessed with you, she's testing the waters, assessing whether you match the intensity without drowning her in it. You are entering a high-stakes psychological dance, and every move counts. Understanding this is not about manipulation, it's about awareness. Once you recognize that her constant thoughts are a signal of deep mental and emotional engagement, you begin to see the subtle power dynamics at play, and how to navigate them so she remains intrigued, invested, and drawn to you, without ever feeling pressured. Here's where most men completely misread the situation. A woman thinking about you non-stop doesn't always show it directly because showing desire is risky. Vulnerability feels dangerous. So instead, she uses indirect ways to keep you in her mind and keep herself protected. These are the silent signals that reveal more than words ever could. She might initiate conversations at odd times or react to things you post online faster than anyone else. She remembers details that most people forget. Your favorite song, a story you mentioned once, a joke that only you would understand. These are breadcrumbs, a subtle trail that leads straight back to you. And the more consistent they are, the more she's mentally invested. Then there's emotional mirroring. If she notices you're stressed, she might subtly check in. If you're excited about something, she matches that energy. She unconsciously aligns with your emotional state because her brain is constantly rehearsing your connection. You're in her thoughts so often that she begins experiencing a mental echo of your life. Now, the dangerous part for you as a man is overconfidence. Seeing these signs, many think she's easy or available. But this obsession isn't about convenience. It's about her mind measuring whether you're worthy of her emotional energy. She's thinking about you non-stop because she's curious. Can this man handle the depth of what she feels without breaking the fragile equilibrium she's carefully maintained? Notice her pauses, her hesitations, her careful choices of words. That's not disinterest, that's strategy. She wants to ensure that if she leans in, you don't push her away. She wants the emotional chemistry to be sustainable, not fleeting. And here's the crucial insight. The intensity of her mental preoccupation often surpasses what she shows outwardly. Men typically expect grand gestures or explicit declarations, but women's deepest thoughts rarely manifest in obvious ways until the connection reaches a tipping point. Before that, it's a silent, powerful pull, a magnetic field you feel in subtle ways, if you're paying attention. This is the secret most men never see. When she's thinking about you non-stop, she's testing the strength of your presence in her life without ever admitting it. Every small interaction, every fleeting thought, every subconscious curiosity, it's all part of a pattern designed to measure whether you can hold the weight of her attention and whether you deserve to be the man she keeps thinking about. The question is, can you recognize it and respond correctly? Because that's the difference between being the man she can't get out of her head and the one she forgets in a week. Now listen closely, because this is where most men completely blow it, and it's subtle enough that you might not even realize it. When a woman is thinking about you non-stop, she's not just reacting to your words or your actions. She's reading your energy, your emotional availability, your capacity to hold space for her without judgment. And she will test this in ways that feel almost invisible. One of the clearest signs is how she responds to your absence. If you disappear for a few hours or even a day, does she check in? Does she subtly make herself present in your world, even when you're not engaging her? That's not casual curiosity. That's a mind repeatedly circling back to you, running mental simulations. What is he doing? Is he thinking about me? How does he handle space and distance? Another sign is emotional recall. She brings up moments you've shared, not to reminisce casually, but to gauge your emotional resonance. Maybe she mentions something from weeks ago that only the two of you experienced. Maybe she references a joke, a look, a comment that meant little at the time. These are deliberate mental reminders because her mind is obsessed with keeping you alive in her thoughts. And here's the part men misunderstand most. She isn't always looking for answers. She's observing, analyzing, and emotionally calibrating. Every word you say, every pause you take, every subtle expression, she's filing it away in her subconscious. She's not just thinking about you in a vacuum, she's mentally rehearsing your life together, seeing how you handle situations, testing if you're someone who can be trusted with emotional depth. This is why patience and awareness are crucial. Respond too eagerly, too predictably, and you dilute the intensity of her thoughts. Respond coldly, or fail to meet her emotional subtleties, and she shifts her mental focus elsewhere. She's testing the balance. Can this man engage with my mind and heart without breaking the fragile connection I've built internally? Pay attention to her micro-signals, the timing of her messages, the subtleties in her tone, the moments when she mirrors your mood without being asked. These are all indicators that she can't stop thinking about you. Her mind constantly returns to you, not because she's desperate, but because she's invested emotionally and mentally. And here's the psychological truth most men never grasp. Attraction at this level is not about what you do, it's about who you are in her mental and emotional space. She's already imagining a reality where you are central, testing every nuance of your presence. And if you understand this, you can become the man who occupies her thoughts completely, not just occasionally. Now, this is the part where everything comes together and you begin to understand the full power of what's happening. When a woman is thinking about you non-stop, it's not just mental, it's deeply emotional, almost physical. Your presence lingers in her body, in her heartbeat, in the way she anticipates messages or memories of you. She may try to ignore it, rationalize it, or act indifferent, but her mind keeps returning to you, like gravity pulling her thoughts back into your orbit. The clearest signal? She engages with you in ways that feel effortless, even when she's busy or distracted. She finds tiny excuses to interact, often about things that seem meaningless on the surface. But these moments are bridges, subtle opportunities to connect and reinforce her mental and emotional loop around you. Every shared laugh, every private reference, every brief exchange strengthens your presence in her mind. Pay attention to her curiosity. She asks questions, not just about facts, but about your thoughts, your opinions, your feelings. She wants to understand your inner world because her mind is constantly reconstructing scenarios where she is emotionally entwined with you. She imagines how you'd react in situations, what you'd value, how you'd respond to intimacy or vulnerability. Every question is a breadcrumb back to her internal preoccupation. And here's the ultimate insight. She is creating a mental space where you occupy the center. You are no longer just a person she knows. She is thinking of you as someone she trusts, someone she desires, someone she imagines in moments both ordinary and extraordinary. That mental and emotional preoccupation is rare, and it is potent. Men often fail to see it because they expect loud declarations instead of subtle, persistent signals. This is where awareness becomes power. Recognize her patterns, understand the mental loops she runs, and meet her intensity with calm confidence. Show her that you can handle the depth of her thoughts without overwhelming her. Be present, be consistent, and let your energy reinforce the connection she is already building internally. Because here's the truth most men never realize. When a woman thinks about you non-stop, she has already chosen you in her mind. She is weighing, observing, and feeling, but she needs a man who understands the gravity of her attention, who values it, and who matches it without overstepping. Handle this correctly, and you will occupy her thoughts, her emotions, and eventually her heart, like no one else ever could.